It's story time. The story begins. Let the words enter your mind. Neurons fire away deep into Imagination Central. There, any adventure can play out. Waves of blooming wildflowers roll in the summer breeze. Butterflies flutter across the field, drifting up into the sky. You build a Persian palace from shadowy memories. Inside, sitting on his ottoman in flowing silk robes, a sultan speaks to his emissary, his eyes drawn thin as he issues a challenge to his people to bring him a riddle he cannot solve. You enter Storyland. Now your heightened focus turns to today's storyteller.
Hello, I'm Linda Martyr, and I'm a storyteller with the Longmont Library Spellbinders chapter. And I'm going to tell you some stories today, but first we'll go to Storyland. My stories today are from Haiti, and of course in Haiti they speak Creole French, and so these stories have been translated, and they were collected in a book by Diane Wolkstein called The Magic Orange Tree. The first one I'm going to tell you is my very favorite story, and you'll see why. There once was a girl named Topingi who lived with her stepmother, for her father had died. She lived in her father's house, surrounded by all his beautiful things, but her stepmother was very selfish and kept the best of the things for herself and treated Topingi as a servant. She made her do the cleaning and the washing, and she made her collect the firewood. Well, one day, when Topingi was at school, the stepmother was cooking sweets to sell in the market when her fire went out. "Oh," she said, "I wish Topingi were here to collect some more firewood for me, but I guess I'll have to do it myself." And so she reached for her basket and she went out the door, still muttering to herself, "I wish Topingi were here to do this work." She looked and didn't find much firewood until she came to a clearing where there were twigs and branches and logs everywhere. Well, she started gathering up the firewood, but she found that she couldn't carry it all. She said, I need help. When suddenly, there was a voice behind her from the woods that said, "I'll help you." And a man stepped out into the clearing, a big strapping man. And she said, "Yes, please, help me collect the firewood." And he said, "I will help you, but what will you give me in return?" She said, "I have little enough, but I'll give you my stepdaughter, Topingi, to go and live with you and be a servant for your family." "Oh," he said, "my wife will love that. She can cook and she can clean and she can help with the children. Yes, I'll help you." So he gathered up armloads of firewood and carried them to the house and stacked them against the wall. And then he repeated his question, "What will you give me in return?" "Oh," she said, "yes, my stepdaughter Topingi will go and be your servant." He looked around and said, "Well, where is she?" "Oh, she's at school right now, but let's see, tomorrow I'll have her go to the well in the center of town. She'll wear her red dress. You can go to the well, call her name Topingi, look for the girl in red, and she'll go with you and be your servant." But Topingi had come home early from school, and she was listening at the door, and she heard everything that was said. So she ran out the back door and ran to all her friends and said, "Please, please, would you wear your red dress tomorrow? Would you wear your red dress?" And they all said that they would. So the next day, when the man got to the well in the center of town, he saw one little girl dressed in red. he saw a second little girl dressed in red. All the little girls were dressed in red. He called her name. "Which of you is Topingi?" he said. "I'm Topingi," said the first little girl. "She's Topingi," said the second little girl. "We're Topingi too," said all the girls. And he repeated angrily, "Which of you is Topingi?" And they joined hands and they chanted, "I'm Topingi, she's Topingi, we're Topingi too. I'm Topingi, she's Topingi, we're Topingi too." The man was angry. He stormed back to the stepmother's house and said, "I want what you promised me. I went to the well like you said. All the little girls said they were Topingi. All of them were dressed in red." "Oh," she said, "there must be some mistake. Go to the well tomorrow. I promise. Topingi will be in her black dress. She'll be the one dressed in black. Call her name, Topingi, and she'll go with you." But Topingi had followed him there, and she was listening at the door again. And she ran to all her friends and she said, "Will you wear your black dress tomorrow? Will you wear your black dress?" And they all said that they would. So when the man got to the well in the center of town the next day, he saw one little girl dressed in black. He saw a second little girl dressed in black. All the little girls were dressed in black. "Which of you is Topingi?" he shouted. "I'm Topingi," said the first little girl. "She's Topingi," said the second little girl. "We're all Topingi too," said all the little girls. He was furious. He stormed back to the stepmother's house and he said, "I want what you have promised me. If I don't have Topingi as the servant for my family, I will come and take you to be my servant." The stepmother was frightened. She said, "No, I don't know what happened. I promise tomorrow. I promise. She'll be dressed in red. I'll put her in her red dress. She'll be at the well. Call her name Topingi, and she'll go with you and be your servant." But Topingi had followed him there again, and she was listening. So she ran to all her friends and said, "Very important tomorrow. Wear your red dress. Wear your red dress," and they all promised they would. So when the man got to the well in the center of town the next day, he saw one little girl dressed in red. He saw another little girl dressed in red. All the little girls were dressed in red. "Which of you is Topingi?" he said menacingly. "I'm Topingi," said the first little girl. "She's Topingi," said the second little girl. "We're Topingi too," said the third little girl. And they joined hands and they sang just as sassy as you please. "I'm Topingi, she's Topingi, we're Topingi too. I'm Topingi, she's Topingi, we're Topingi too." The man was fuming. He stormed back to the stepmother's house. He took her by the arm and he carried her away to his house where she is now his servant. And Topingi lived quite happily for the rest of her life in her father's house, surrounded by all of his beautiful things. The children that I tell that story to are very quick to say, "Wait, it's like Cinderella." And I always say, "But did a prince save her? Or did she save herself?" And so that's one of my favorites. Another story that was collected from Haiti, a folk tale, is a little shorter and has a significance in the United States that you'll see. This is a story that I've seen told by tandem tellers, one telling in English and one telling in French, which is really kind of fun. It's a story called Bye Bye, and this one has animals as the main characters on the beaches of Haiti, which of course is an island nation. All the birds in Haiti decided to fly to New York City. They wanted to be part of the big city. They wanted to see the tall buildings. They wanted to be part of all of the adventure that goes on in a city and leave their island home, just palm trees and beaches. They wanted to see the city. Well, they were getting ready to go, and Pigeon's friend, Turtle, said, "I want to go too. I want to see the city. Take me with you to New York City." And of course, Pigeon said to him, "But you can't fly." there is a problem because we have a lot of ocean to fly over to get to the big city. Turtle said, oh, I'm so sad. I wanted to go with you and I wanted to see the city. But Pigeon had an idea. He said, I know what we'll do. We'll take a stick and I'll hold the stick in my mouth and you can hold the stick in your mouth on the other end, and I will fly you to New York City. Oh, Turtle was so happy. He joined their classes to learn English because, of course, none of them spoke English, and they learned phrases enough to get along with the birds in New York City, and maybe a turtle, I'm not sure. And they were ready for the big day, ready to go. Well, they gathered the birds, and they took off flying, and sure enough, Pigeon took a hold of one end of a stick. Turtle took a hold of the other end of the stick, and they took off flying through the air. They flew over the trees, and as they were going out across the beach, they saw that all the other animals on the island had come to tell them goodbye. And they were saying goodbye, or au revoir, au revoir. But then they saw Turtle flying. And there was such a hubbub on the beach. They couldn't understand how Turtle could be flying away to the city with the birds, that they made a big noise. Oh my goodness, look, 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 it's Turtle. And Turtle was so excited and so proud of himself that he said one of those English words that he had learned. He said, bye, bye. But of course, when he opened his mouth, he let go of the stick and he crashed, splashed right back into the ocean, crawled up on the beach. And that's why there are lots of pigeons in New York, but turtles still live in Haiti. One of the stories I tell in the beginning of the school year is a story with a couple of examples for the students in the class of good behavior and things that are going to help them get ahead in their studies. And this is a story that I found on a website called Bedtime Stories, and it's from Spain, a folktale. It's actually a legend, a creation story. And it's called Two Elves, Two Wishes. Long, long ago, before there was day and night, and the sky was a light gray, there were clouds up in the sky. And the only inhabitants on the earth were magical creatures, dwarves and fairies and elves. Well, one day, two elves, who were best friends, were out playing and trying to jump as high as they could. They wanted to jump up and touch the clouds, maybe even jump beyond the clouds and see what was above them. And they would jump, fall back to earth, and jump and fall back to earth. And the great sky fairy looked down on them and said, oh my goodness, you are such good friends and you're having so much fun. I'm going to give you each a wish, only one wish. Well, the first elf, of course, said, I want to be able to jump as high as the sky. I want to go above the clouds. That's all I have ever wanted. That's what I want. And the fairy said, are you sure? And he said, yes, 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 that's all I've ever wanted. So she blew on him, and he took off and jumped and disappeared above the clouds. The sky fairy turned to the second elf and said, what's your wish? Now, he was a more careful boy, elf, and he stopped and stroked his chin and pulled on his ear, and he thought about it. And as he was thinking of just the perfect wish, they heard a sound from up above. It was a loud, high scream, and it was getting louder and louder. So the elf said, I know what my wish is. I want to be able to catch anything that falls. And the sky fairy blew on him, and he reached out, and he caught his friend just before he hit the ground. And his friend said, thank you very, very much. And he said, you gave up your wish to help me. So I know we're going to share. We're going to cooperate. We're going to take turns. I'll jump, and you can catch me. And then you can jump, and I'll catch you. And they were taking turns, and they were doing such a beautiful job of it that the Sky Fairy decided to give them each a gift this time. So she gave the first elf a big golden ball, and she gave the second elf a silver disc. And so now, when they jump up into the sky, one will jump up with the golden ball, and daylight fills the sky. And he falls back to earth, and he's caught by his friend. And then his friend jumps up with his big silver disc, and the sky is filled with moonlight. And that's how day and night came to be. After that story, I always talk with the children about the way that the elves made their choices, and they're very quick to catch on or to see that thinking about a decision is a good point. Rather than jumping right into something, to think about it and consider the consequences and consider what's going to happen. And they also, of course, point out cooperation and how that they were taking turns, and that was a benefit for them. So in the beginning of the school year, those are two themes that teachers often emphasize, and the story adds to that.